Most people think real estate empires are built on finding that one perfect deal, having a mountain of cash, or knowing all the right people. Honestly, they're wrong. History shows investors who had all of that have failed, and failed spectacularly. The great real estate empires, the skylines that get shaped, the kind of portfolios that build wealth for generations, they aren't really built at the closing table. They're won months, even years, before a contract is ever signed. They're won in the mind. It all comes down to a way of thinking that separates the amateur from the pro. It's what allows a select few to see a dozen opportunities where everyone else just sees risk, roadblocks, and a long list of reasons why it can't be done. The real secret to long-term success isn't just about crunching numbers, it's about the mental game. And today, we're breaking down the 3 core mindset shifts that build these empires. Adopt these, and everything can change. Imagine a deal that, by all accounts, should have died. It was a small multifamily property, a little rough around the edges, but with incredible potential. An investor gets it under contract, the numbers make sense, and everything is ready to go. Then, 2 weeks before closing, the call comes. The main lender got cold feet. The deal is dead. Now, for the average investor, this is a full stop, end of the road moment. This is where panic kicks in, they start pointing fingers, and then they walk away, telling everyone how the deal fell apart on them. Their focus is entirely on what was just lost. But a pro's mind just works differently. The first question isn't, well, what now? It's how do we win? This isn't a dead end, it's a puzzle. There isn't a financing problem, there's a creativity problem. So, a professional investor would spend the next 48 hours glued to their phones. Not calling banks, calling people. They'd call a local investor they had coffee with months earlier. He wasn't a traditional lender, but he'd mentioned he was looking for more passive deals. They'd call a contractor they have a great relationship with and ask if he'd be willing to float some initial repair costs in exchange for a premium on his work. Then they'd go back to the seller. They wouldn't ask for a discount, they would propose a whole new structure, a master lease with an option to buy. It would give them control of the property and let the seller get paid immediately while they had time to lock in new financing. By refusing to accept that first no, a solution is stitched together from 3 different places. The deal doesn't just survive, it gets better. The outcome is a more flexible structure and new partners who are literally invested in success. That wasn't some secret real estate tactic. It was the direct result of a specific mindset. Let's break it down. The single biggest gap between a struggling investor and a thriving one is how they think about risk. This is the classic battle between a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset. The scarcity mindset, which is how most people are wired, sees every deal as a zero-sum game. If there's a problem, the deal is bad. If a lender says no, the opportunity is gone. If the market feels shaky, the only move is to run and hide. This entire way of thinking is rooted in one question: what if I lose? It leads straight into analysis paralysis, a state of being so terrified of making the wrong move that no move is made at all. You just get stuck, searching for a perfect property that doesn't actually exist. The abundance mindset, on the other hand, operates from a place of pure possibility. It believes good deals are everywhere and solutions are always waiting to be found. It asks a totally different question: how can we all win? This isn't about being naive or ignoring red flags. It's about seeing challenges as puzzles that need a creative solution. Think about it this way. The amateur sees a property with a wrecked kitchen and says, "That's a problem, it's going to cost me." The pro with an abundance mindset says, "That's an opportunity. I can force appreciation here and bump the rent." The amateur hears "no" from a bank and packs it in. The pro hears "no" from a bank and asks, "Okay, who's next? What about seller financing? Private money? A partnership?" Setbacks aren't failures, they're feedback. This shift is the foundation. You stop seeing other investors as your competition and start seeing them as potential collaborators. You stop seeing problems as roadblocks and start seeing them as the raw material for a great deal. By the way, if you're finding this valuable, please hit that subscribe button. We go deep on the strategies and the mindset behind them every single week, and you're invited to come along for the ride. The second game-changing shift is to completely reject excuses and take radical ownership of your results. The amateur investor's world is full of walls. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. The market is too hot. I don't know the right people. These are the four horsemen of the wannabe investor's apocalypse. But these aren't reasons, they're excuses. Pro investors take 100% ownership. They know their success or failure comes from their own choices, not from what the market is doing. "I don't know how" is never the end of the story, it's the beginning of their education. Let's tackle the big one: "I don't have enough money." This is the most common excuse in the book. The pro doesn't see it as a barrier, they see it as a problem to be solved. The question immediately becomes, okay, so how do I find the money? This is what pushes them to learn about raising private capital, forming joint ventures, and using creative financing. It forces them to build a network, which is exactly what separates the pros from the amateurs. Then there's, "I don't have enough time." Look, nobody finds time. You make time. The pro does a ruthless audit of their schedule. They cut out the junk, the endless scrolling, the Netflix binges, and they reallocate that time toward high-value tasks. They build disciplined habits, like analyzing one deal every single day, even if it's just for 15 minutes. These small, consistent actions are what build unstoppable momentum. This mindset pulls you out of the passenger seat and puts you in the driver's seat of your own life. You stop waiting for the world to hand you an opportunity and you go out and create your own. A lack of resources is never the real problem, it's always a lack of resourcefulness. The third and final shift is a massive force multiplier. You have to start seeing the world through the lens of partnership. The amateur, stuck in that scarcity mindset, sees real estate as a solo mission. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Every other investor is the enemy. The real estate agent is just a key turner. The lender is just a hurdle. The empire builder thinks completely differently. They see a world full of potential partners. They know real success is a team sport. It's about leveraging the money, knowledge, and skills of other people. Your agent isn't just someone who opens doors, they're your strategic partner. Treat them with respect, be crystal clear about your goals, and make their job easy, and watch what happens. They'll bring the off-market deals before anyone else even knows they exist. Other investors aren't your competition, they're your collaborators. When you build real relationships, you open the door to joint ventures. Maybe you're a genius at finding deals but terrible at raising money. You can partner with someone who has capital but no time to find properties. Together, you can take down deals that neither of you could do alone. Even contractors become partners. When you find good ones, you treat them like gold. Pay them on time, be clear about what is needed, and send them more business. In return, they prioritize your jobs, give you fair prices, and help solve those inevitable problems that pop up during a renovation. This partnership mindset creates a powerful ecosystem around you that feeds you deals, capital, and expertise. It's a safety net. The amateur is focused on building a portfolio of properties. The pro is focused on building a network of people. The portfolio is just the happy byproduct. So, let's tie this all together. The real estate empires that last aren't just collections of buildings. They're what happens when a certain way of thinking gets turned into steel and glass. First, you shift from a scarcity-driven "what if I lose" to an abundance-driven "how can we all win?" This turns roadblocks into opportunities. Second, you kill the excuses and take radical ownership of your journey. This makes you the architect of your own success, not a victim of your circumstances. And third, you focus on building partnerships, not just a portfolio. This builds a powerful network that will carry you further than you could ever go alone. Think back to the example of the dead deal. It was saved because the investor refused to believe it's over. That investor took responsibility for finding a new path instead of just blaming the bank. And they leveraged their partnerships to create a win for everyone involved. The real work of building an empire doesn't start when you're looking at a property. It starts right now, with a decision to change the way you think. Choose to see opportunity where others see risk. Choose to take action where others make excuses. And choose to build bridges where others build walls. Master the mental game, and the properties will follow. Think bigger. Live larger. Own the lifestyle. If this inspired you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone building their empire.